denies doing it. Also tonight, Nandi Governor Sang invades tea plantation that belongs to a former minister. We tell you why. Plus, the capital city is in the hands of a man whose name means rich, but is seemingly poor in delivery.
I am number 3 in command, politically, influential and socially.
And on Bullseye, Day Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu's chair went missing.
Pressure.
The money, confusion and contradictions.
Those notes must be recalled and done afresh. It is not correct to say that the party has called for a recall of those notes.
And lessons from the West Pokot mathematician.
This is NTV Weekend Edition with Edmond Nyabola.
Welcome to the broadcast. Our sign language interpreter tonight is David Agondoa. To our top story, Nandi County Governor Stephen Sang has this evening invaded and destroyed parts of a tea plantation believed to belong to once powerful Henry Koskei, a politician who served as a cabinet minister in retired President Daniel Moi and Mwai Kibaki's era. Sang says this is just the beginning of his quest to reclaim all grabbed land in Nandi County, as Lois Wangoi now reports. That story is still being worked on, and as we wait for that, let's have a look at our next story. And Game Member of Parliament Elisha Odhiambo is to report back to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations Office in Kisumu County on the 17th of this month, as investigations into an incident where the lawmaker is accused of assaulting a youth continue. The MP is accused of assaulting Maurice Ochieng Oduor in Kisumu town on Tuesday afternoon. He has recorded a statement at Kisumu police station denying the claim and instead accused the victim of damaging his vehicle.
Where was I arrested? Why do you post that I'm arrested? Why do you post that I'm arrested?
It is this 41-second video clip that perhaps will set the record straight on the matter at hand.
Elisa, are you okay?
Police in Kisumu claim they're investigating what happened, despite the glaring evidence where Game MP Elisha Odhiambo is captured assaulting Maurice Ochieng Oduor in Kisumu town. Another closer look at the clip explicitly shows the first-time legislator, accompanied by a group of youth, walking to where Oduor is seated, ask one or two questions before raining blows and slaps on him. It is said the MP was accusing Maurice Oduor of posting allegations that he had been summoned to the regional EACC offices in Kisumu on Tuesday morning on Facebook.
In the course of the day, I received numerous calls on the same issue. And then I had to call Mheshimiwa himself using my cell phone. I called him, he didn't pick. I sent him the text. After a few minutes, he arrived where I was, breathing fire. So if at all it's wrong to give information, let me pull it down. I pulled the post down.
The victim, who reported the matter to the police, sought medical examination to ascertain the extent of injuries allegedly inflicted in him by the lawmaker. Kisumu County Police Commander Benson Maweu has confirmed that the MP Elisha Odhiambo has since recorded 2 statements over the matter and will be required to report back to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations Officer on June 17th.
Where was I arrested? Why do you post that I'm arrested? Why do you post that I'm arrested?
The incident once again casts doubts as to whether members of parliament are conscious about Chapter 6 of the Constitution on integrity, which demands that all state officers or those in public office should carry themselves with dignity and should not put the office they hold into disrepute. Jane Goiri, NTV.
Well, how about that? A Mombasa tycoon, who is also a Pakistani national, is facing tax evasion charges. Riyasat Ali Khan has been charged with making incorrect statements to the Commissioner of Domestic Taxes in his income tax returns. The Kenya Revenue Authority, which is demanding 1 billion shillings of unpaid revenue from Khan, claims that the businessman has for years been using several companies to avoid detection by government agencies. Khan, who is a car importer, has also been accused of under-declaring profits he has made from the business since the year 2013. And as our NTV Coast reporter Kevin Mutai reports, Khan was released on 20 million shillings bond.
Pakistani national Riyasat Ali Khan was presented at the Mombasa High Court over alleged tax evasion amounting to 1 billion shillings. Khan, who runs several companies dealing in motor vehicle importation, was charged with filing incorrect returns purposely to deny the government billions of shillings in revenue. Khan, who is a director of Rana Auto Selection Limited, faced at least 7 counts related to tax evasion, among them providing false documents to Commissioner of Domestic Taxes so as to cover up his profits. The prosecution told the court that in 2017, he failed to remit to the government a total of 302 million shillings from the profits he made in that year. And in 2016, he also failed to declare 263 million shillings. In 2015, he denied the government 163 million shillings of revenue. And in the years of 2014 and 2013, he failed to pay taxes worth 59 million shillings and 63 million shillings respectively.
Without any reasonable cause, failed to submit a commission.
Defense lawyer Charles Opulu pleaded with resident magistrate Martin Rabera to release his client on bond, promising that he will attend all court sessions.
In those circumstances, and bearing in mind that both sides are not opposed to bond, each accused person is released on a bond of Kenya shillings 5 million with surety of similar amount.
2 other directors of a proxy company, Peter Maina and Angela Mokio of Ras Holdings Limited, were also charged with aiding and abetting the syndicate. Khan, who is also the owner of the company, is said to have used several other companies to interchangeably evade payment of taxes. Angela, however, denied the charges and told the court that she was not aware that the company was denying the taxman its revenue. Khan was also accused of committing the offense jointly with Sultani Ali, Iftikhar Adalat Hamid, Mohammed Adil, Mohammed Afnan, and Tanvit Hagmad, who are all directors of Rana Auto Selection Limited. The case will be mentioned on the 17th of June 2019. Kevin Mutai, NTV, Mombasa.
Now, Kenya has now turned to the United States Federal Bureau of Investigations, FBI, for assistance in the ongoing war on graft and money laundering. Director of Public Prosecution Nurdin Haji and Director of Criminal Investigations George Kinoti will lead their teams to the U.S. this weekend to strategize on main crimes facing the country. But as the DCI and DPP fly to the U.S., questions abound on the status of investigations into the controversial fake gold scam that has drawn in the Dubai royal family and roped in names of top politicians in the country.
3 weeks after a leaked audio linking Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula to the fake gold scam surfaced, and the Director of Criminal Investigations launched a probe into the matter. DCI has so far not summoned Wetangula. This despite the Director of Criminal Investigations George Kinoti terming Wetangula a person of interest in the scam.
Then he will communicate to you.
In the audio, a man alleged to be Wetangula is heard in a heated telephone conversation with a man from the United Arab Emirates. The man is demanding an update on the status of a gold consignment that was allegedly detained at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport.
Any movement will be a disaster for all of you, myself is included. Because
there will be none whatsoever. Take my word, my brother.
Besides never being summoned on the matter, Wetangula, 3 weeks later, has still refused to comment or deny the allegations leveled against him over the fake gold scam, terming them a non-issue.
I don't want to engage in discussing a non-issue as far as I'm concerned.
In the scam, a man who claimed to be Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i was to ensure that the detained gold is released. CS Matiang'i, despite being the senior-most CS in the country, whose name was associated with the fake gold scam, has not only refused to be drawn into the matter publicly, but he is unlikely to be questioned by the DCI, as he is the Interior CS and therefore the man in charge of police. In the leaked audio, Wetangula is heard promising the victim of the scam from Dubai that he will get his consignment, saying he has already spoken to opposition leader Raila Odinga and President Uhuru Kenyatta to help out.
Raila met with the head of state on this matter.
Okay.
And explained to him.
Yes.
And the head of state has called the minister.
The dropping of Odinga and Kenyatta's names in the scam made the fake gold scandal to take a political dimension.
Sisi kama serikali tukaunga mkono kwamba former prime minister apatiwe kazi. Kazi hiyo ambayo alipatiwa haikukuwa na mambo ya madini na mambo ya gold huko ndani.
Unlike Odinga, President Kenyatta has not publicly spoken about the scam. The Director of Public Prosecutions, Nordin Haji, condemned the release and circulation of the audio, terming it alarmist and likely to cause disaffection. Haji ordered Inspector General of Police Hilary Mutyambai to fast-track investigations and forward the findings in 7 days. However, the status of investigations into the audio and the fake gold scam that roped in names of top politicians in the country seems to have gone under, quietly, if not conveniently, forgotten. Vincent Odur, NTV.
Now listen to this. To his supporters, Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko is the savior they needed to help restore the sanity and lost glory, I should say, of Nairobi city, thanks to his abrasive, hands-on and bullish character. But to his critics, his election to succeed the suave and boardroom-groomed Evans Kidero was the biggest mistake the Nairobi electorate made. And because of that, many have had to contend with the chaos that followed his election, so his critics say. So just who is right? NTV's Silas Apollo has that report.
When Mike Mbuvi Sonko declared his interest for the Nairobi governorship seat, many doubted his chances. First, it was a question of whether he had the right skills to run the city county, and two, whether his streetwise character would endear him to city dwellers as a whole. But to the chagrin of his critics, Sonko not only won the Jubilee Party ticket, but also the seat, beating former governor Evans Kidero. The Sonko win was majorly tied to what his critics termed as his abrasive, combative and flamboyant character. For others, it was his now infamous tactics of blackmail.
I've already confirmed the title is fake. Once you have used a fake title to mislead.
Not one to shy away from controversy, the rise of Sonko has been nothing but a roller coaster. From fist fight with fellow politicians, to public insults, and even making pronouncements that many may consider so unpopular.
Deputy President William Ruto of France, I am number 3 in command, politically, intellectual and socially. I am now the acting president of the Republic of Kenya.
Sonko has argued that his kind of politics is a defense against powerful forces opposed to his rise to power. At some point, he even accused Interior Principal Secretary Karanja Kibicho of plotting his downfall, claims that Kibicho has refuted. Attempts by Jubilee Party to whip him to toe the line, including choosing a running mate for him, and even appointing the regeneration team to help him improve the city, have borne little fruit. Sonko's antics have even drawn his once political friend to an enemy.
Mwingine mwazimu anaamuka safari moja kusema ati hamuwezi kuja Nairobi. Kwani Nairobi ni kwake? Si watu wajue Nairobi ni kwa kila mtu.
Sonko has been accused of running a one-man show after falling out with county leaders, the latest being woman representative Esther Passaris. He currently runs the county without a deputy governor, and some county executive committee member positions are also vacant. He says that he should be celebrated for the planting of grass in the city and for erecting statues of lions. Some argue that he could just be right.
I have used my resources because Nairobi is in my heart. Nairobi is in my blood.
Hii pesa yenye ilitumika hapo kwa hizo sanamu za lions, hiyo pesa ingetumika kutengeneza kuna parapara my estates imeharibika.
And as the accusations and counter-accusations continue, it is not in doubt that the greatest casualties are the electorates who argue that they have been deprived of services. Silas Apollo, NTV.
I'll let you pick which side of the divide you belong to. Back to our top story. Nandi County Governor Stephen Sang has this evening invaded and destroyed parts of a tea plantation believed to belong to once powerful Henry Koskei, a politician who served as a cabinet minister in retired President Daniel Moi and Mwai Kibaki's era. Sang said this is just the beginning of his quest to reclaim all grabbed land in Nandi County, as Lois Wangoi now tells us.
Kibware Tea Plantation had an unusual guest this afternoon, coupled with unusual activities. Nandi Governor Stephen Sang used this power saw that he came with to shred down parts of Kibware Tea Plantation in the company of his county officials. Kibware Tea Plantation is owned by Eastern Produce Company, whose major shareholder is once powerful Moi-era politician Henry Koskei. Governor Sang says this is just the beginning and that his administration, in conjunction with the residents of Nandi, will be destroying this whole plantation come Monday. Governor Sang is accusing the owner of Kibware Tea Plantation of having grabbed this land, which served as a public utility space in the 80s. However, politicians close to the former minister view the attack on Kibware Tea Plantation as an extension of bitter political rivalry between Governor Stephen Sang and Henry Koskei. The two faced off in a fierce contest for the Nandi County Governor's seat, with Governor Sang beating Henry Koskei. Recently, Henry Koskei's son, lawyer Alan Koskei, has shown great interest in the seat for Nandi Governor. A family member who sought anonymity said the former minister is extremely upset with Governor Sang's action. The family member saying the land in dispute was properly acquired by the former minister through a loan courtesy of the Agricultural Finance Corporation AFC. The family member further revealed that Henry Koskei struggled to service the loan, forcing him to dispose of a house he owned in Lavington, Nairobi, upon which he acquired ownership of Kibware Tea Plantation. Governor Sang says otherwise. Koskei is yet to speak on the matter, even as his tea plantation faces even more destruction come Monday if Governor Sang lives up to his promise. Lois Wangoi, NTV, Eldoret.
Now, Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i has said the government will not consider lowering the age of sexual consent to 16. The Interior CS says he failed to understand what was behind the minds of the people who came up with the idea, terming them as idle people who do not have a job to do. Matiang'i was speaking at Pangani Girls High School during the school prize-giving day. He said the government will not submit to pressure to legalize marijuana, even for medicinal use.
My colleague Zainab, as well as
Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i was at Pangani Girls High School in Nairobi during the school's prize-giving day. 2 months ago, the Court of Appeal proposed a law change to lower the age of consent to 16 years. 3 judges ruled that time was ripe for the country to consider changing the Sexual Offences Act, citing lengthy jail terms imposed on young men convicted of defilement. The topic elicited a lot of reaction from Kenyans.
We can never be mad enough to support that kind of nonsense of lowering the consent age. You know, there's some madness that some people get engaged in that is so difficult to understand. In the case you may cause, how can we be debating about endangering the lives of our children in that kind of manner?
Supreme Court Justice Njoki Ndung'u, who was also in attendance, has been on the front line opposing the proposal to lower the sex age.
They want these children who are in school,
who wear uniform, who live in their parents' homes, they want us to give them that license. Why would we, as a sane government, say that our children should be allowed to have consensual sexual activity when they should be in school?
The CS also said the government will not relent in the quest ending gambling and illicit liquor, which have messed up young people.
Join us as government in the war we are putting against gambling and gaming in this country. This thing is messing up our children. And don't tell me that it's business. It's not business. This is business in the death and destruction of our children. You cannot make money at the altar of destroying our young people.
In a bid to protect the youth from harmful addictions, the CS also declared that he would not submit to pressure to legalize marijuana even for medicinal use.
We have an application on my desk right now at the Ministry of Interior by some lunatic who is saying they need a license to build a factory in Kenya that processes cannabis for pharmaceutical use. You can imagine, I don't know how much space we opened in our country for the devil to the extent that we have gotten here. Which government, just tell me, which government will accept those kinds of things?
A bill seeking to legalize marijuana had been tabled by Kibra MP Ken Okoth, Rozongoi, NTV.
Now, the squabbles within the management of Nairobi Hospital rage on. The High Court has been told that a resolution held by members of Nairobi Hospital on May 15th, removing the current board from office, did not comply with the laws of the association. Submitting before Justice Francis Tuyot, lawyer Fred Ngatia for the board, which has obtained orders stopping their alleged ouster, said that the notice calling for the special general meeting was not valid because all the requirements were not met. He argued that the credentials of the people who were nominated to be appointed to the board ought to be known and circulated a minimum of 14 days prior to the meeting, which did not happen. However, the rival group, through lawyer Mila Bwire, maintained that the ousted group has no mandate whatsoever to exercise functions of a board as directors of the Kenya Hospital Association. Justice Tuyot will rule on the matter on June 13th.
My Lord, in that notice, you see that the complaint is loss of confidence with an entire board. Anomaly number one, certain people have signed more than once. Anomaly number two, two members have sworn affidavits that they never signed.
Now, here's something to look forward to this Sunday. The number of cases of defilement have, according to recent reports, been on the rise. This has particularly been troubling in certain counties where child neglect is a contributing factor. This Sunday, NTV takes a look at the cases reported in Makueni County, and here is a sneak peek of the special report dubbed Predator Guardians.
Nilichange nguo ndo ni babangu akachukua blanketi akanifunika nayo macho.
Tukilima anatuita hapo nyumbani, anatutoa suruali.
If these walls could speak, then they will tell of the crippling fear and the intense pain experienced by victims possibly violated here.
Tukisema anatukata na kipanga.
Mimi nilikuwa nakaa nikistuka kila wakati sababu amechukua kisu, anasema anakuja kutuua.
As of today, we have about 77 who are in custody.
The torture doesn't end upon their rescue.
What about the trauma of these kids?
Do watch out for Predator Guardians in our ongoing child welfare series here at NTV on Sunday at 9 p.m. with Charity Mwangi. 22 minutes past the hour, we take our first short break on NTV Weekend Edition. We'll be back with more. Don't go too far.
The Central Bank of Kenya has issued new generation banknotes following promulgation of a new constitution which ushered hope for a newly reborn and prosperous Kenya. After taking into account views received from the public, CBK adopted concepts to symbolize the drivers of a prosperous Kenya, namely green energy, agriculture, social services, tourism and governance. The front of the banknotes bear the image of Kenyatta International Conference Centre, one of the most iconic and recognisable landmarks in our country. A dove is also shown to symbolise a peaceful Kenya. To identify a genuine banknote, feel, look and tilt it. If you run your fingers over the note, you will feel the raised print on Kenya and also on the value. For the visually impaired persons, run your fingers over the edge of the note and feel the 1 bar for 50, 2 bars for 100, 3 bars for 200, 4 bars for 500 and 5 bars for 1000. Hold up to the light and from both sides you will see the watermark of a perfect lion's head, the text CBK and the value of the banknote. Hold up to the light and from both sides you will see the security thread appears as a continuous line. If you tilt at an angle, you will see the security thread changes colour from red to green on all the banknotes. Additionally, for the 200, 500 and 1000 banknotes, a rainbow colour appears on the thread when tilted. If you tilt the back of the banknote at an angle, you will see a golden band showing the value. Our banknotes, a symbol of our national sovereignty and prosperity.
Allahu Akbar, Allah.
Caring, guiding, loving.
Ngong Road, in which property worth millions of shillings was destroyed. Abdi Rizak Yusuf Ado has been on the run for the last 4 days. In surveillance footage, a man, the Al Husnain car bazaar owners identify as Ado, is seen igniting the fire before running towards the nearest staircase leading out of the business complex. Ado is said to have presented himself at Kilimani police station on Wednesday and recorded a statement. He argued that he was being falsely accused of starting the fire at Malik Heights building. Kilimani OCPD Michael Mushiri has refuted reports that they apprehended the suspect and later released him. He said police were not privy to the existence of the CCTV footage implicating him at the time, thereby letting him go after recording the statement.
We can confirm that the person we are looking for, the suspect, came to the police station some 2 days ago, and he went straight to the report office desk and claimed that there are some people that are spoiling his name, that were alleging he was involved in the Malik Heights fire incident. Police are also human. I know this mistake should not have been done. On the day that he came, the photos of this man are not being widely circulated, so the police officers at the desk might not have been familiar with his face.
And now to something that has become all too common lately. A grisly road accident in Baringo has killed one person today. Witnesses say that the saloon car was speeding on a sharp turn when it crashed into a lorry. The head-on collision, which occurred in the afternoon, saw the driver of the lorry run away upon discovering that the man in the saloon car had died. The body of the man was taken to Kabarnet District Hospital, and the lorry driver is now wanted by police. And staying in Baringo, where residents from Saimosoi took to the streets to protest killings and incidents of cattle rustling that have become rampant in the area. The residents barricaded the road at Loruk area following an attack by bandits last night in Saimosoi, where heavily armed bandits made away with over 200 goats. This comes after a directive from the CS for Interior, Dr. Fred Matiang'i, to withdraw the National Police reservists, which residents are calling reckless and irresponsible.
Anger and resolve is written all over the faces of the residents in Saimosoi ward, who have once again been the victims of a banditry attack. The bandits, who shot in the air to scare residents, broke into the homesteads before they made away with 200 goats last night. The residents, who heaped stones and lit a fire on the Marigat-Chamolingot highway, questioned why the government was standing by while the killings are still occurring.
Serikali wamepeleka wanajeshi kule Somalia, and we have the real Al-Shabaabs here down here at Yati. They have continued killing us merciless.
The banditry attacks, which have left numbers dead and even more injured, have been going on for decades. The residents, led by their MCA Richard Chesrem, are now fed up with the government's lax response.
Nataka niambie serikali, watu hawa ni wananchi kamili wa Kenya, lakini umetufanyia upakuzi. Umetufanyia upakuzi ya kutosha. Hii ni serikali ya kutunyanyaza.
The protest was stopped only after the intervention of police officers who promised increased vigilance. Stacey Kirori, NTV.
Now, a police officer who was murdered 2 weeks ago in her house in Umoja has been laid to rest at Kapumboi area in Trans Nzoia County. The deceased, Helen Kwamboka, was reported to have been brutally murdered by her lover as her body was found on the 24th of May in her house with a deep cut on the head and signs of being strangled. Kwamboka, who was a police officer stationed at Parliament Buildings, was last seen on the 23rd of May at work. It was reported that she left work at around 7 p.m. The Directorate of Criminal Investigations detectives have arrested a man suspected to be behind Kwamboka's murder, with investigations still going on. And on that somber mood, let's take a break for business because Julian Zamboko is already in studio.
global diaper brand Molfix is now in Kenya. Please welcome the Molfix Band.
Molfix, so absorbent. Playtime is much more fun than ever. Come on, it's playing.
Welcome, I am Julian Amboko. The Capital Markets Authority says it has recovered approximately 500 million shillings believed to have been illegitimately acquired through insider trading at the NSE regarding Kenol Kobil shares. CMA indicates that these funds have been recovered through two no-consent settlement agreements, implying persons implicated in the case have submitted the funds without challenging the allegations leveled. Kenol Kobil was delisted from the Nairobi Securities Exchange on May 20th, following the takeover by Ruby Energy. Two phases of investigations with regard to the firm's takeover are complete, and no one has been found guilty of insider trading thus far. CMA cleared Kestrel Capital Chairman Charles Phil Marsham of potential liability. However, Kestrel Capital Chief Executive Director Andrew Desimon, Alikan Sachu and Kunal Bid will be subjected to hearings before a committee. And moving elsewhere, despite the prevailing rains in different parts of the country, the National Drought Management Authority says the country is still under drought alert. Bridget Ngana now reports saying that Kenya is considering paying insurance premiums to cushion itself from the vagaries of the weather.
The Kenyan taxpayer loses close to 10% of the gross domestic product to deal with calamities caused by extreme weather conditions such as drought. These monies are, however, not always readily available to assist the affected.
The tool has the capability of providing us with close to 60 million US dollars for the 2 seasons if we have participated and it has triggered a payout.
During the 2016-2017 dry spell, Kenya would have been eligible to a payout to assist in mitigating against the effects of the drought from the African Risk Capacity, an outfit under the African Union through which contributing member states get financial assistance when climate-related and natural disasters strike.
Recent events in Southern Africa, such as Mozambique, Zimbabwe and Malawi, the effects of disasters caused by weather events are growing in scale, and these effects are also being witnessed right now on Kenyan soil.
Communities, together with government and other partners, are able to put infrastructure that supports the livelihoods and health as well as the human capital in these ASAL areas.
The country is still mulling the possibility of taking up insurance from drought, with scientists projecting that in the coming years, harsh weather conditions will be more frequent and intense. Bridget Ngana, NTV, Nakuru.
And the government has rolled out a survey in the informal sector to obtain data about the profile of skills and occupations prevalent in the sector. This seeks to address the country's unemployment challenge. Labour Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani says the results of the survey will inform policy formulation and planning, both in the government and private sector. The survey is funded by the World Bank to the tune of 150 million shillings.
We do not have an up-to-date data on the informal sector, and yet is providing 80% of the employment opportunities in this country. So we are just grappling, with the situation out there, planning with, not a very particular specific data. After doing this now, we are now going to, during the analysis, then we are going to make concrete steps, a concrete proposal to all the agencies of government, including Treasury, on how best these businesses can be supported to expand and to continue offering more opportunities for the very many job seekers.
Let's talk about something in the tech space. Now, in not too long, if you buy a new Huawei phone, your device will not have WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram apps already installed, rather. Facebook has said it will not allow pre-installation of its apps on Huawei phones. This is the latest jab in the battle between China and the United States, which is playing out in the tech space. Buyers of the affected models would still be able to download the apps after purchase, and if you already have a Huawei phone, you are safe, as you will still be able to use the pre-installed apps and receive updates. And moving on, the county government of Uasin Gishu has threatened to sue the national government over the Moi University Sacco liquidation concerns. This is if planned talks with the State Department of Cooperatives fail to bear the desired fruit. The county says it will appeal the decision by the Sacco Society's regulatory authority to revoke and liquidate the Moi University Sacco.
We don't know where the area was to close that institution, because it was running. In fact, the day they came to close the offices, members were on the line being paid money. We are wondering the rationale why the office of the commissioner took that particular decision.
And going back to the capital markets, investors at the Nairobi Securities Exchange have a reason to smile this week as the market consolidated its week-on-week gain during the Friday's trade. The value of stocks listed at the exchange, also known as the market capitalization, closed the week at 2.2 trillion shillings. This is 8 billion shillings higher than the close of last week. This has been a fairly slow week at the bourse, with 52 million shares worth 1.3 billion shillings changing hands, down from 135 million shares worth 3.8 billion shillings traded last week. In the week under review, the NSE 20 share index gained marginally, just by 1%, closing Friday's trade at 2,700 points. The banking sector dominated activity this week, accounting for 53% of the transacted value. And on to matters food, because it is Friday. Now, you go out to buy food. Do you ask questions about the handling or the quality? And if you should ask anything for your own good, do you know what you should ask or look out for? The ignorance on the part of consumers and less than desirable knowledge on how to handle food by various people along the value chain are key contributors of lapses in food safety. Today is the first ever World Food Safety Day, and on this theme, Alex Mwangi brings us this week's Food Friday.
At the United Nations General Assembly last year, a day was set aside to commemorate World Food Safety. It is a day that shifts the focus from the overall concern of food security to how safe what is being consumed is.
This is a day that we have lobbied to have, and we are proud to be part of the League of Nations who championed this process through the Codex Alimentarius Commission, which was the one which proposed the adoption of this day to the United Nations.
Our food always has a risk of something unsafe in it. And food is not food if it is carrying something that's unsafe.
To say, as a consumer, when I walk into a portion meal or I go to buy grain, I should ask the person selling it to me, has this been tested for aflatoxin? Do you know how much is in it? Because if I take responsibility as a consumer, then the entire food chain will become more responsible towards communicating to me the safety of my food and ensuring that my food is safe.
When it comes to food safety, governments and organizations involved with the agricultural value chain globally have an uphill battle to tackle pervasive levels of ignorance.
Those who are storing, you find people mixing things in the fridge. Meat, milk is inside there, other stuff inside there, and it does cross-contamination.
I will not take your milk if it's not on this and this and this, and I will not pay, or I will even pay less, or I will pay more for the good quality. Then it is easier to understand for the farmer, for example, that it gives more money in the pocket to provide good quality.
Many consumers don't know, or if they know, they don't have accurate information. As consumers, we don't know what information we should look for to guide us in choosing the right foods.
There cannot be food security without food safety. No matter how much food is produced, if it is done in an unsafe environment, it is likely to lead to an unhealthy and unproductive population.
Unfortunately, sometimes we work in silos. As consumers, we don't know who our go-to person is. As researchers, we don't talk well to consumers. So I think we need a platform.
What is very critical is whenever anybody handles food, in terms of trade, you must have at least a medical certificate to certify that you are healthy enough to handle it.
The food safety experts jointly agree on the need for a unified and coordinated approach to ensure that food safety is assimilated into the daily lives of the ordinary citizens. Alex Mwangi for Food Friday.
And on that note of Food Friday, we wrap up the business bulletin for tonight and this week. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing.
What makes a Kenyan dental mom powerful?
I encourage my kids to learn new things. Anything.
Welcome back now to your favorite part of the Friday broadcast. The phrase, "the guilty are afraid," seems to be ringing true thanks to the recent decision by the CBK on local currency. Many are those who are rushing to the altar to confess, and this is happening without any prompting. It was a week when the neighboring counties of Nairobi and Kiambu once again stole the show, and as Emmanuel Juma now reports on Bullseye, the pressure is generally on.
Here was the Kiambu governor, the father. Question on his mind, where do I sit? There was a seat all right, but for the county mother. Boy-child problems? Not quite. This one is bigger.
Kuna pressure mingi sana ambayo iko juu yetu.
Yes, but first things first. Sit on mama's chair? No, that will not be right. The search for a place for Baba Yao to rest his pressured body was on. Finally, he found a place.
Sisi tumewekelewa pressure.
And that, if I can hazard a guess, is because you went against an MOU signed between you and this man.
Na iko mambo mingi ambao tumeona. Tulifanya campaign tukasema tunaweza kuwa na mako governor. Lakini kusema kweli, kunaweza kuwa na co-governor, kunaweza kuwa na governor wawili.
That can only mean one thing. Your troubles are not going away anytime soon.
Ukiwa ulikubali kuwa deputy governor, lazima ujue hiyo ndio kiti yako.
Let's just say Kiambu is no longer at ease, and it's all because of Waitito's money.
Siku ingine mtu aniulize nitembeze nikuoneshe mali yangu. Nitaonesha wengine watacommit suicide.
And those who are likely to kill themselves are the poor. What do you tell them?
Wewe ambaye hauna, Mungu atakubariki.
And they cheer him on and on. Staying with money matters.
Those notes must be recalled and done afresh.
The next day,
it is not correct to say that the party has called for a recall of those notes.
By the way, this is what you had said earlier, Mbadi.
Those notes must be recalled and done afresh.
And by the way, the position I'm giving you the position of ODM.
By the way, Mbadi, you are contradicting yourself.
By the way, in our party, there's freedom of speech. None of us has called for the withdrawal of the notes. We only said that the notes, any action, and by the way, criticism is not bad. By the way, Central Bank is independent.
It's called Baba Power. And then there's the story of Baba and Mama County.
Mwezi iliyopita Turkana ukapeleka magari nyingi sana za chakula, na tunataka pia uangalie watu wa Nairobi.
Kazi yangu wa Turkana, kama unataka kunisupport kuja unisupport. Haikuhusu, wachana nayo.
Gavana wetu ameenda kwa TV, ameonyesha ako na title deeds 1,000, ameonyesha ako na pesa ya kufanya hata mashamba za Uhuru Highway na pesa yake. Mimi nataka kuambia hiyo pesa ambayo gavana ako nayo, mimi sina hiyo pesa.
Kwa hivyo mimi si bwana yako, hata ndio unashika simu zile wewe unataka.
At that point, Mama County did what WhatsApp users like to call lefting.
Haya, kwaheri ya kuonana. Kwaheri ya kuonana.
Back to money matters.
Wanadhani tuko na magunia ya pesa kule nyumbani. Watu wengi wamekuwa wakisema ati Dede Nyoro ako na pesa mingi sana na magunia kwake nyumbani.
Tunataka hii ikuwe ndogo ndio tukibeba, badala ya tutoe mchango milioni 1, tukue tunatoa milioni 5 na milioni 10.
Just who sought their opinion.
Hey! Kuna jamaa wakaenda kupaka na kuhanya wakaanza kujizungumza wenyewe. Hawajatojo, washajitaja.
Then to West Pokot, where we meet this man.
Wacha nifundishe watu leo, mimi ni mwalimu ya hesabu, mwalimu ya university.
So, what's the lesson today?
Kama mtu amefanya makosa, system ama tufunge judiciary, kuisha funga kwanza judiciary, Maranga kwenda kwenu. Kila mtu enda. Ndio sasa tuwe na tabia ya wanyama ya porini.
The man is advocating for jungle law.
Nataka mulambane na mupendane jirani yako.
The math is just not adding up.
Sasa sasa tulikuwa tunatarajia kupigwa makofi na
And is that Murkomen? Maybe a brother from another mother, but without the trappings of power. And having said that, this is how I walk away. Emmanuel Juma, Bullseye, NTV.
In the words of one Pastor Nganga, Kenya has so much lavish and arrogance. Just to read one tweet here by one of our viewers, Stella Shakilo, reacting to that story about the gay member of parliament assaulting a youth in Kisumu County. It's time we called our leaders to account for their actions. She says, what precedents are we setting for the future generation? That arrogance, fighting and bullying is leadership. Really? That's what Stella Shakilo says in reaction to that story. Let's now take another short break. When we come back, Brian Otwal has all the sports you need to know.
Get the right track, I got a game that is like that, yeah. I got a game that is like that, yeah. I'm in the trap with the right Mac, yeah. I'm
in. Grab a cold Tusker Light at your favorite bar.